What's going on, gamers? We got a video here by Dreamcast Guy. Been a while since I've done a react. It is huge next gen leak. New Xbox is $1,500. PlayStation 6 still coming in 2027. I think 2028. But if they do 2027, I mean, hey, that's up to Sony. I'll get a day one regardless. The new Xbox could be around that. I'm thinking probably around $1,200, $1,300, something like that. But $1,500 is definitely possible depending on the way the market is. But in this video, he's basically saying, I didn't watch that much of it, just only a little bit, that it's going to be a bloodbath, which it is, because when you get the PS6, it is going to be a significant jump for anybody. And you think about the average PC player. Look at the Steam and see what the average PC gamer uses, like a 3060 or 4050 or 4060, something like that. And you think about the PS6 specs that will be coming possibly next year or early 2028, it is going to absolutely melt everything. So when you're going to be able to get it for that price, if it's going to be like $700 or whatever, that is a steal. Do you know how much it would take to get that type of performance right now with this crazy PC market? Thousands of dollars. So when Sony's already going to give you that value, why would you be looking to spend almost double on the Magnus when you already have enough? And you're going to now have PS6 only games, right? And you're going to be getting all of Xbox games, PSSR 3, everything that Steam has. And the money hats too. I don't see why I would even think about it. It is going to be a bloodbath because PlayStation 6 is still going to sell like PlayStation. Magnus is now going to be in the Steam Machine Steam Deck ballpark when it comes to being an extension of what's already available on PC. So let's get into this. Let me know what you guys think. Here we go.
Hey there, gamers. Dreamcast Guy here. Today we're talking about Xbox versus PlayStation because the next gen console war is going to be a bloodbath. I mean, there's not really another way to cook this turkey, but I want to break it down because last night there were actually a bunch of leaks from Sony and from Microsoft about next gen power, next gen release date, and next gen price points. And I honestly think that this is going to be very, very bad. So we've been reporting on the channel. There's been a lot of rumblings and rumors that PlayStation specifically has been tempted to delay next gen. That basically, instead of making the PlayStation 6 come out in 2028 or something like that, there have been talks that they think it might be better to put it out closer to 2030. Specifically,
no, I don't see Sony doing that. I think 2028 is the sweet spot.
Because there is crazy tech shortages right now. Like there's just literally such a shortage of raw chips to make phones and cars and consoles that PlayStation is a bit worried that right now, if they release the PlayStation 6, it'd be easily $1,200 minimum. Well, it sounds like Xbox is putting out the new Xbox next year, and PlayStation doesn't want to be 2 or even 3 years late to the party. PlayStation is now rushing next gen to sort of keep up.
Maybe.
Let's take a look at these leaks because honestly, everything about this is very, very wild because I think that Xbox is scared of being last, and now PlayStation is sort of in a weird spot where they don't want to be left behind. All of this is about to be very, very strange.
Nah, it's never gonna
now, I do want to start with the fact that I honestly, truly believe that next gen, what may win the most is whoever is the most affordable. Like, we're going to talk about graphics. These new systems, of course, are going to have crazy stuff like 20 times better ray tracing. Yes, that's the real number. But I almost think that the Nintendo Switch 2 strategy, as many gripes as I have about the Nintendo Switch 2, I think the fact that it's under $500 and the fact that it has exclusives and decent enough graphics, I kind of think that whatever next gen manages to be under $700, God, even that seems like such a ginormous number, that's going to be the winner. But let's break it down because there is a lot to cover here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, so let's just acknowledge the fact that Xbox is in a very strange spot for launching a next console. Okay. Currently, the Xbox Series X versus the PlayStation 5, it is a very bad time right now. I think roughly the current numbers is that the Xbox has sold about 27 million units, and I think the PlayStation 5 is about 95 million units. So it's more than a 3-to-1 at this point. So coming into next gen, it seems like Microsoft is trying to focus their marketing. At this point, they're not even putting Xboxes in stores in a lot of places. They're like, here's some Minecraft plushies and some Game Pass subscription cards, right?
Yeah, they don't have to because, like I said before, even when you think about the Project Helix or Xbox Magnus, which AMD calls it, Microsoft is saying Project Helix. So that's more official from them because it's still, I guess, their hardware, along with AMD, of course, are working together. It is not going to be something that you think about that when it comes on the market is going to sell even 40 to 50 million. You know what I mean? Not even close. Why would they be thinking about that to be their moneymaker? It's not. They're just doing this because I'm guaranteed Phil Spencer fought for that, and whatever's left over is what Microsoft wanted, but saying if you want it to be alive, this is what we're going to do. Like Satya said, it's going to be a a hybrid PC that's going to be using my autopilot. We're going to be sunsetting it into the AI. But the main money focus is third-party publishing and subscription cloud services. Other than that, why would the Magnus be anything to put on the market to make a profit off of? And they're not going to subsidize either. No, it's going to be like a luxury product. And I've been telling people that for the longest. And that's what's going to happen. And that's what Microsoft is doing. They can't launch the Magnus to compete head-to-head with PS6. That's impossible. It's not going to be something that's going to move like that. People wouldn't even want to pay $750 for the Pro at the time, or $700 when they launched. That's a lot. You know what I mean? And you're going way out of the ballpark of even the average PC gamer. It's not happening. PS6 can do that, yes, because when you think about the price point value of getting those type of specifications for that price, and you'll be able to trade in your PS5 for it at GameStop, it's an insane deal. Just like the Series X and the PlayStation 5 at launch, and the PlayStation 5 digital for $399 was absolutely nuts. When you think about that time that it came out in 2020, it's the same thing now. But thinking about the PS6 giving you RTX 5090 ray tracing performance for like $700 and stuff like that. Do you know how much a 5090 costs by itself right now? The prices that it went up to, a couple grand. This is what I mean. Like, I'm not saying it's going to have a 5090 in there, but what I'm saying is that you're going to be getting that type of level of performance. You're going to be making an insane ray tracing performance, not rasterization, because that's hitting a brick wall. Now, though, that's still going to be huge. Huge CPU gains, huge memory gains, huge, when you want to think about it, jumps from ray tracing to path tracing, huge performance gains. Now ray tracing 120 frames per second, 4K. Now you're going to be getting stuff like possibly playing a game specifically off the cloud and not using that much hard drive space or SSD space, and other next-gen features that are going to be coming along with that. Sony always does that, like with haptics feedback, motion controls on the PlayStation controller. They're always going to be adding in a lot of stuff. But the point is that if you look at the PC market now and what you're going to try to get for that type of deal right now, think about trying to get the type of performance right on the PC market. How much money do you think you need to spend? When you get to that point, it doesn't matter. And that's what he's saying by like whatever is the price point value. And Sony has that. Plus now it's PS6 games only, PS5 games only. All Xbox games are going to be there. So you're getting all the Xbox games. You ain't getting none of their games. So it's like when you think about that value together, it's unbeatable. And we're not talking about Nintendo. They're in a separate own lane. They're on their own like private islands. They compete in certain facets, but we're talking about PlayStation and Xbox now. I wish the Xbox Magnus would be cheaper and be competing more with PlayStation. That's what I liked, you know what I mean? But that's not the case now. They can't go that route anymore because they can't stand on their own.
At this point, they're really much trying to focus, okay, how can we both, A, sell systems, and more importantly, how can we win back the fans that have gone to PlayStation?
That's tough.
Because this new strategy is this hybrid console. Project Helix is going to be able to play PC games and Xbox games in one. A lot of the leaks are saying that apparently it will literally run Windows, which is a bit odd to think about. So you could hypothetically maybe hack this and bootleg stuff or put emulators on it, but I would not put any money on that. But this is the thing, very premium, very high-end, will lead in performance. We're going to take a look at the leaked specifications of both the PlayStation 5 and the next-gen.
Well, that's the thing. Like, saying you were leading performance is like me saying I'm going to build a pre-custom PC build right now, and it's a PC still, which is going to be just and I'm going to say I'm going to lead in performance over the PS6. What is that supposed to really mean? It just means you have a more pre-built custom PC with an Xbox logo on it. It's still an OEM model in certain ways, and you're going to have better specifications. But yet, you're not going to do anything that makes it seem like you have an identity to stand on your own to make me think I need to get it. I can already do that with the PCs available now. The PS6 is going to have PS6 only games, PlayStation 5 only games from last gen being upgraded to max settings. And that's only on PlayStation. It's going to be getting all your games on Xbox. You see what I mean? They're going to have features only in the PlayStation ecosystem, and it's running Linux, not Windows. Nintendo's the same thing. It's only in their ecosystem. You can't get the games anywhere else. So that's what I mean by like, I feel like that's why I say they're in the same position as the Steam machine and the Steam Deck, to where you're going to extend off of the ecosystem of the PC that already exists. And if you like the Steam world, you'll get the Steam machine and something that's also not Windows, because it's just already exists on PC. It's not like you're making something that says it's only here. In the Steam world, that would be true because there's only games that exist on Steam. But for Xbox, there's none of that. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you mean you will lead in performance? So is other rigs right now that are out in the world right now. They can say the same thing, but it doesn't mean anything if you have no identity.
Xbox, but the thing about this is that we know this is going to be very, very, very expensive. At this point, historically, anytime Microsoft specifically has said very premium, they mean extremely expensive. But I just do not think that's a winning strategy. Right now, the Xbox is already the most expensive console on the planet at $800. Taking that even 5 steps further, it's not a smart move. I mean, not to exactly be the genius YouTuber here, but yeah, not exactly a great move. Now, next week, they're actually going to be doing a big presentation at the Game Developer Conference called Building the Future of Xbox. I am very curious to see that, but let's talk about some of the specifications and some of the drama around this, right? Next-gen Project Helix will reportedly have at least 5x faster in rasterization and 20x in ray tracing. Now, this seems impossible. Just all of this seems so big and beefy, right? I just feel like graphics...
I think what they're saying is like if you think about the lowest settings, because consoles have to use like the lowest ray tracing settings, and even that looks worse than PC. And then if you do times 20 to that, you'll be getting something like path tracing, which is 20 times more higher. It's something like that. They're doing something like that. If you guys want me to explain it to you in nerd terms, in compute terms, like that's what they're kind of saying.
Are getting so much better. And ray tracing is something that people have been kind of against and then kind of for, because ray tracing is essentially the science of reflections. It's making it so everything has that cool, interesting, realistic sheen that we have in real life. And playing a game like currently I'm at the very, very end of my 3rd playthrough of Resident Evil Requiem. That game has surprisingly crazy ray tracing on the PlayStation 5 Pro with like every store window, every blood puddle, full crazy realistic reflections. Doing 20x the times, like 20 times better ray tracing seems impossible to say the least, right? But the thing about this is that people are already saying, okay, how much graphics can this really have? How much really can this actually be better? And can this even work? This is Microsoft's last attempt to make their hardware business work, says analyst Sarkan Toto. Microsoft been walking on thin ice for a long time now.
But it is that because it can only get worse. What I mean by that is now they're in a position where you ain't going to even see 10 million Xbox sales. So you can't think of this like an Xbox console coming in to compete with the PS6. That's why I was trying to tell people that if you're thinking that, you are not understanding the game. It is going to be in a Steam Deck, Steam Machine situation as a luxury product that's an extension of the PC world that they're not going to subsidize. And Steam Machine is not even luxury specs wise, you know what I mean? The magnet is going to be significantly more powerful. And when you think about the price of the Steam Machine, it's going to be somewhere around the PS6. And you're going to be like, wait, what? No, man, it's going to be an embarrassment. Though it's not a console, but I'm just saying, it's only going to be, I think, for Steam hardcores and for people who just want to have maybe a PC aspect, because PlayStation 6 is not a thing where you can get on a browser and then do that type of stuff like you would with a Windows device, you know what I mean? So maybe somebody might do that for a different reason. So it's looked at more like a PC. The Magnus is the same thing. It's looked at more like a PC with hybrid console features to play some Xbox games and backwards compatibility feats. And there's nothing wrong with people if they want to get the Magnus. I'm not telling you know that you don't have to get it. If you're excited for it, go for that. What I'm saying is that I'm not going to lie to somebody and make them believe that it's going to be competing with the PS6. That stuff is over with because it can't do that. That's not the way they're pricing it. It doesn't work that way with consoles. That's way too much money. It's not going to work.
I just feel like Microsoft is definitely in a spot where they're trying to pretend the Xbox is still viable.
Yeah.
I have said this is kind of a publicly known secret in the industry, I think, which is that Xbox does not exist to make profits. Xbox exists to pump up investor stock price. It makes Microsoft look better if they're one of the biggest software manufacturers on the planet because of stuff like Windows and Microsoft Word and stuff like that. But they're also making so much money because they are that unique thing where they sell software and hardware at just such a massive, massive scale, and not just like Microsoft Surface and stuff like that. This is a chance to basically say, look how diversified our products are. But I mean, you still need an audience for that. I just truly don't think that anybody's going to buy a next-gen Xbox, and the idea that eventually investors will see through that smoke and mirrors and say, wait, why are we making another Xbox if it's selling single-digit ones in whole regions of the world, right? Xbox is probably trying to do more of what it's been doing with the ROG Ally X.
That's correct. Microsoft's not going to even report any numbers. It's going to be like, you can get it on the Xbox website. You may be able to get it like Valve is doing at Best Buy and at select retailers that are limited. But it's not going to be, here's NPD results for the Magnus. It's off that because it's going to be a PC option. It's not going to be an official hardware on the market to be calculated like that. That's what I'm trying to tell people. It's going to be just like the Steam machine. You're not going to say, oh, the Steam machine is doing this monthly and this is what it chopped on the NPD charts unless Microsoft wants that to happen. But I don't see it happening, guys, because that's not what they're looking for.
This is essentially a Windows PC that has an Xbox interface while giving access to PC storefronts, libraries, and running a PC version of those games. Yeah. While older Xbox titles would rely on compatibility layers or emulation. This is the thing, is that the ROG Ally X was a failure. I feel like nobody really has the guts to say that, but the ROG Ally X, not only was it so ridiculously expensive, there wasn't even fan hype for it. Sometimes there are these like niche products that have an audience, right? Where people buy it and the people that buy it are celebrating, wow, check out this customization, check out these features, check out this crazy cool thing that is worth the very high price tag. When's the last time you saw anybody say anything about the ROG Ally X, right? Most of what I've seen, I'll be honest, is I've seen people say, I got the ROG Ally X and I still play on my Steam Deck just because I'm used to it. The Steam Deck has a better battery life and the graphics are like 70% worse, but I prefer the Steam Deck because it's easier. I just feel like that's kind of the thing, right? If your options are like, all right, I can get an Xbox that has 40% better graphics, but at a price tag of $1,500, would you buy it? This just seems like such an astronomically big price. But I'm not even saying that I think it's impossible. I'm saying that my fear is almost the fact that what happens if the PlayStation 6 costs this much? Because I don't think that's fully off the table. I think there is a chance, because we're going to look at the second here, that apparently they're trying to rush it. Apparently they're literally trying to rush the PlayStation 6 because they don't want to be too far behind. I'm a little bit afraid of what if they drop the PlayStation 6 during this era of tech shortage? What if they drop it and it is $1,200? I do truly believe that if the PlayStation 6 is more than $700, it's going to have a abysmally bad launch, and Sony's going to be left scratching their heads and asking what they did wrong. But let me talk about the specs of both these. We're not going to go through super all this. This is by Moore's Law is Dead. We talked a lot about Moore's Law is Dead. This guy basically gets all these top secrets, basically like tech manifests explaining how the systems work, and they're at the factory, how they're being built. So this stuff, I like the fact that he just puts his logo all over everything, because honestly, the dude deserves it. This guy, YouTuber, Moore's Law is Dead. His stuff is obsessively super in-depth, and I think it's...
Yeah, he knows his stuff for sure. And then some people question him sometimes, but he still does a lot of work for people to understand everything. So I give him credit for that, but there's some things he says where I'm like the delays and all that are not happening. I was like, I don't know. Sony said that, though. I'm not going to believe you over Sony, because Sony said that they wanted to extend the PS5 lifecycle. So I think 2028 for PS6 is what I think. And we've seen these specifications before. Like I was saying before, the PS6 is like where it's going to be at. Sony's going for balance. Microsoft, as usual, is trying to chase raw power for a luxury product, but they're not looking to come onto the market and dominate because they know that's over with. And that's what Satya's thinking, and that's what Asha's thinking. And they already know that. They're looking for third-party publishing. Just give me back my money, and let's continue on the AI spree. And that's what they're going to do, because that's what they have to get right as a company. It's not Xbox that represents Microsoft. It's what they need to get right at Microsoft that represents Microsoft. AI, data centers, Windows 11 needs to be better. Windows 12 needs to be significantly better. Security needs to be a lot better. In general, Mac OS embarrasses Windows in security. And it's like, see, what represents Microsoft is all of that, not Xbox. But PlayStation represents Sony massively. Like Nintendo, the gaming aspect represents the whole of Nintendo. It's totally different. Microsoft can be fine with the Magnus doing what it's doing, and it's not going to hurt them. That's the difference between Microsoft and these other companies, where it's like, that's what I was saying, like, their heart and soul is not into it like that, and it's not like they ever had one for gaming like that, except maybe the 360 era. But when I see PlayStation and I see Nintendo, they're way more serious and more dominant about that, in their world, and they do a much better job with it. Microsoft at one point did have people that cared about that in the original Xbox 360 era, and partially maybe in the Xbox One era after mistakes, but too much stuff was started off. I just don't understand how we even still got to that after seeing what happened with the 360. But we kind of get the idea here. I want you guys to let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. I don't think there is no Xbox Helix versus PS6. Though we're going to be doing those videos and comparisons, but I mean, the competition is over with. I don't think they're going to be able to compete. But do I wish they would? Yes, because it makes it more fun. Let me know what you guys think. Is general. If you want to get the Xbox Helix and you're excited for it, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That's your money. That's your choice. Be excited for it. Peace out. I'm just trying to give people a realistic perspective here. Later.